Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about, I guess, some of the new teaser images that we have here for The Walking Dead Season 2, or The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2, Episode 5 here. And I actually want to talk about something that I think, I don't know if it's going to happen here, maybe it doesn't happen, but I really do wonder if the Croat is going to die in this episode or if he's going to have a really big story here, because there's a lot of focus on the character. And that's just, I mean, obviously when the character has like big moments, and if you watch episode 4, he did have a pretty big moment where he stood up to Bruegel. And I'm just like, is that set up or was that a foreshadowing of like what's about to happen here for his death maybe in episode 5? So anyways, I want to talk about that. So before we go further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. And also, I will be doing my Q&A video on Wednesday. So in 2 more days, I just asked for some questions on Discord. So if you do want to take part in the Q&A, definitely go and join the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. There is a link in the description of this video. And yeah, I hope to see you there. But let's actually get into some of the images here. So we do see this one shot here of the Croat, and yeah, he's like crouched down on one knee here, and we actually do see some glass, it looks like, on the carpet or whatever that is. And so I'm wondering if there's some sort of like explosion or if like something happens here, because the Croat is reacting in a way where like something just happened and he like went down for cover kind of thing, right? So I'm wondering if there was like an explosion outside, if it was maybe related to New Babylon or maybe Bruegel, right? Like, I feel like it might be related to some of that, but we go to the next shot here and we do see the Croat here. This seems to be just like at some point in the episode. I know that based off of the trailer that this might be something that happens early on, because we do see Negan with Dama and the Croat, and it looks like they're just talking about whatever, and they have a plan to go, I think, see Christos and whatnot in the episode. So it looks like after that, something is going to happen here with Dama, where, again, maybe there's some sort of attack on the building or something, because we know that Maggie, Pearly, and, well, I guess New Babylon in general, like, they know to go after the cathedral now, right? So I think that could happen here. I mean, based off of some of the images and the trailer, I think they are going to go back to the Foragers base, and obviously there's a big story happening there. But this episode might be one of those episodes where there is a big death and something crazy happens, and there's a lot of battles and stuff, because I do think that there's going to be a battle at the Foragers base. I think that New Babylon is going to take over, and then I think Bruegel will show up at some point here and cause a lot of issues. But again, Maggie knows where all the methane is, and so where does that go for episode 6? I think that's where a lot of the bear scenes are going to happen. So obviously they will be back there at some point, but Herschel could get taken by Bruegel. So I think that's where the story's going to go overall. But that's why, with all the shots here of the Croat, it's a little interesting. Like, why is he crouched down here? Maybe Dama got upset and like smashed something on the ground here, and so that's just that. It's kind of hard to read into here, but we know the power is going to be getting cut to the city. So it's possible that there is something that actually happens here in terms of like a battle happening here where they're all forced to leave. We'll have to wait and see. But we have a shot here of Dama, and again, everything's very peaceful here at this point. We don't see the Croat or Negan here yet, but I imagine that they will. I mean, maybe they just left here at some point. I will just say, I feel like Dama or the Croat, it feels like we are getting to the end. Well, I don't want to say the end of the characters, but it just feels like their deaths are being set up here because we're learning so much about the characters. With the Croat, it's hard to say because, like, I could see the character going in a lot of different directions. With Dama, I think that it makes a lot more sense because of all the backstory that we've been given. Like, they've been telling us so much about the character's story and everything that I'm just like, I could see the character dying at some point here. And I feel like Maggie killing her makes a lot of sense if she's the one that Lucille's her. But yeah, I don't know. I think that like she's the one character out of all the characters I could see dying this season, just because, again, they're giving us so much of her backstory. Like, we got into the Croat's backstory a little bit in episode 2, I believe, or it was episode 3. Actually, it was episode 3, I think. Yeah, I think if I had to pick a character to die, it's probably going to be Dama, just because I think the Croat could be a pretty exciting character going forward, because he's a very smart character. He's a very unique character that the show has just never really had. Like, he's almost like the opposite of Eugene, right? Like, both characters were very smart, but the Croat's more of a villain, right? So that's the thing. You don't want to get rid of a character like that because he adds something so different to the show that I think getting rid of him, like, you would have to have another character, show up at some point, and like, obviously the character's probably going to die, but I just think that if you could have him, go on for a little bit more than just season 2, it would make a lot of sense. So I think Dama is likely going to die, I think, at some point this season. But then we get to, I guess, what's probably going to happen very early on here, and we see Maggie, Pearly, and Herschel show up to the Foragers' base here in Central Park. And so it looks like what's going to happen is they're going to show up here at some point in the episode, and basically they're going to find out that New Babylon has taken over everything here. So I don't know if we're going to see that happen early on, because I'm just trying to think of the way the episode is going to be structured. Like, we usually would see the main characters first, like Maggie and Negan. The stories will be separate, but we'll see them first, like, doing something, right? So maybe we see Maggie and them traveling back, but then at some point they cut to what's happening here, and we see the place getting taken over, and then eventually we see Maggie show up here. But this is all going to be very early on in the episode, because obviously with all the battles and stuff happening, like, that's going to be later. But I do think that this is probably what her plan was the whole time. I think that was the plan the second that they got to the Foragers' base, was they're going to take this place over. It's going to be a really, awesome place to stay, and to have, a lot more, I guess, people come from New Babylon, to build up their army and all that, because they need to have, like, some sort of base in New York City to stay, right? And this place, it's left alone. Like, the Croat and Dama don't really go there, and, like, Bruegel doesn't really go there, so it makes sense that would be her thinking on the whole thing. Like, yeah, we're going to set up here, we're going to get a whole army from New Babylon, show up here, and we'll be ready to go, kind of thing. And obviously, like, the Foragers don't want to join New Babylon, so it's just going to create a lot of issues there. But yeah, it seems like at some point here, Maggie is going to be forced to leave, and it's probably going to be just her, because I think that Ginny and Herschel are going to have to stay. Pearly, I don't know what happens to him, because besides the beginning scene, he's not seen from in the trailer or, like, any of these shots here. So, like, I think that he's probably just going to be, like, maybe held captive because of what happened to Negan, because he lied about that, right? And so I think that because she was questioning Ginny in episode 4 about the whole thing, I think she's going to go up to him and be like, yeah, I knew you were lying about that. He'll be in trouble, probably, held captive. Herschel and Ginny are just going to be, I guess, with the Foragers and whatnot. Maggie will be with the other group and whatnot, and then Maggie will be forced to go. And we'll see where her story goes after that, but I think that that's probably going to be what happens here. And then I think Bruegel's going to show up. There's going to be this whole battle that happens. He'll be taken to Bruegel's base, and then Maggie and Herschel will reunite there in episode 6. That's kind of how I see everything going. But again, with all the other specifics of, like, where things go for New Babylon, and, like, do they win the battle or does Bruegel win, that we'll have to wait and see in this episode. Now, for the other story, we do see Negan with Christos here, and I believe that the Croat is actually here as well. And this is where I want to get into some of the stuff with the Croat, because I do feel like there might be something here where, again, like, his story does get a lot bigger for this episode. I know that Christos is not going to want to join him. There's going to be a lot of issues and stuff, and I don't know what the specifics are going to be for the story here, but there's going to be some issues here, I think. But if you're looking at this one shot of Negan and the Croat, it looks like they're getting into an argument here. And just based off of, like, just sort of how they look here, like, Negan seems to be kind of upset and, like, mad at him. Like, wait, you can't do this, kind of thing, right? And the Croat's just like, well, no, like, because of this, blah, 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 like, we have to do it like this or whatever. And I hope I described that well, but, like, I feel like that's what they're saying here, right? Like, it's going to be something like that. And I think the Croat, I don't know if he's going to betray him, but I think that with the way everything went with Bruegel, he's going to be like, well, everything here is going to go more my way because I saw what you said to Bruegel, or I don't know what you said, but, I can't trust you, this and that. And I think that things are going to go against Negan here. And that's the way I'm reading the scene here, to be honest. Like, I really do think that the Croat is in some way going to go against him, because it just kind of feels like it. Like, you go to this very last shot here as well, and just based off of the Croat's reaction, and, like, obviously he's talking to Christos here, I just think that there's going to be something bad here for Negan. And I mean, again, the Croat, I think, is going to rise in power here a little bit, but maybe he dies in this episode, and that's why. And when I say he rises in power, I more mean that he's getting a bigger story here. He's becoming, a much bigger part of the story, and I just think maybe that's where the character dies here in episode 5. Like, I'm trying to think of how the next 4 episodes are going to go, and I just think that there's going to be a big death at some point very soon. Is there going to be a big death, like, halfway through the season? Maybe. like, does Pearly Armstrong die at some point? I could see it, but also he's kind of a cool character to have. Like, he hasn't joined Maggie yet because he's always been kind of a part of New Babylon, but I think with where the story is going, he could actually join Maggie and like the bricks and all of that and actually be like a hero character, right? Like, he's not a part of the villain group anymore. And I think that'd be really cool. So I hope to see that from the character. I don't think he's going to die. I don't think so at this point. But the Croat, I could see maybe he dies in episode 5. If not episode 5, maybe by the end of the season. But again, it's so hard to predict, but the character does seem to have a bigger story here for episode 5. So we'll have to see where this goes. But like, where does the episode end here for Negan? I think we're going to start seeing him join Bruegel a lot more now. I think he's going to be more on Bruegel's side. And yeah, a lot of the stuff with Annie and Joshua, like, we'll see if that's even true, because I still don't believe it. Like, they've been talking about Annie and Joshua and stuff, and I'm just like, I've never believed it. Ever since Dama said that, I've always been like, that's not true. Like, there's no way. I just don't see you bringing the characters there. And maybe it's more because I'm just thinking about the fact that, well, you have to get the actress who played Annie, and also you would have to cast for the part of Joshua, which obviously they could do, but I just feel like, I don't know, I just don't see it happening. You know, I think that it's just like, ever since Dama said that, I just never believed it. Like, I don't know if it was just me, but like, I just really felt like when she said that, it was more of like, I'm just going to say this to try and get you to be more on my side, but I have no idea where they are, because I feel like there would just be a lot more there for the story if they were actually going to be there at some point. And it really seems like she just brings them up just to sort of remind him that, like, remember, you have to do things my way kind of thing, right? And so, I don't know, that just kind of feels like that's all she's doing right now, and that there's actually nothing there. And then I think he's going to find out about that at some point, and then, I mean, that's where things are going to get really crazy, right? But yeah, we'll have to wait and see where things go here. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.